Welcome to the Half Mile Podcast. I'm Mazen, joined by co-GM Justin, Fixed Operations Manager Chris, and a special guest today from Squared Marketing, Vlad, who is normally our producer and on the other side of this camera. We're here to talk about social media, marketing, automotive trends, and why some channels age like fine wine and others age like milk. We're here to tell you why we don't follow trends and why others do, how that impacts things, and where this industry is going, particularly when it comes to marketing. Vlad, I have to ask the question, first and foremost. What's it feel like being on the other side of the camera today?
Feels different for sure. Feels different. I'm not used to this, but I'm happy to contribute. Brings value to the team. So happy to be here.
Are you going to take the filters that you don't put on us and put extra filters on you when you're doing the editing after the fact?
Well, no, not really. We'll make it raw like always.
He has a face for radio.
Not a voice though.
No.
Yeah. But actually, you've done a really good job. Your accent does not impede what you're saying. We understand what you're saying perfectly.
Yeah, well, that's improvement. We should do more of this.
He's put up with us for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learn from the best.
Okay, guys, let's get down to the nitty gritty. What is our number one rule when it comes to marketing and creative concepts?
Oh, it's don't follow trends.
Don't follow trends.
I believe in that from day one. And the reason why I believe in that so deeply is the fact that trends come and go, which means if you want to be an evergreen marketing tool, if you want to be an evergreen business, you need to have your own trend. You need to start your own trend. You need to be original every single time and have a concept that's way outside the box.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is what we do.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not easy.
No.
Because we do fail. We do have stuff that does not go viral, and we have other things that do.
I mean, it's tough because we're dealing with a lot of factors, whether it be the franchise agreements, Mercedes-Benz Canada, obviously macro level stuff coming out of Germany. We got to make sure that we tote the line the best we can. But I mean, we always try and push the envelope, have a bit of a wow factor, and see what we can do. And I mean, obviously, there's also different expectations with different tools, whether it be Instagram or YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, everything kind of has its own way of doing it, but we try and push that envelope within obviously guidelines of MB and more so what our customers would want to see out of our brand. We don't want to embarrass ourselves, but again, I think we were one of the first that really threw ourselves out there and oftentimes humiliate ourselves in some stuff. But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't like riding a trend because I feel like I've copied something else that someone else has done, and I've tried to make it my own. It kind of almost feels like theft. I don't feel good about it.
Well, it's called plagiarism if it was like writing or something.
But that is what a part of social media is, right? TikTok, it is trends. It's something pops up, everybody does it.
Yeah. And what amplifies it worse in automotive marketing is we are in a copycat industry.
Big time.
Yeah. I mean, what normally one car lot is seeing another car lot do, they typically end up following suit and pricing their vehicles in alignment with that, or trying to stock their shelves with the same type of product because they see that that's what's trending within the marketplace. And that's fine. It makes perfect sense every single time that if you're trying to do something better. I mean, McDonald's exists today because somebody opened a burger joint and they said, we can do this better on a much bigger scale.
Well, I mean, you and I had the fortunate pleasure of touring Fletcher Jones many years ago, and then again, just a few years ago. And something resided in you and I. We've talked about it a lot. I mean, they were an open book. They showed us the way they did a lot of the stuff. They blew us away with a lot of their processes. And we asked them, we said, hey, like, why are you so comfortable showing us this stuff? And they said, well, you know, at the end of the day, anyone can say that they want to do it, but it's very difficult to actually execute and go ahead and do it and continue doing it. And I mean, that's where, fast forward to what we've been doing, you come up with such creative stuff, you and Chris for the most part. And then Vlad, I mean, we've always championed you to go outside, I guess, the realm of what the norm is, and you blow us away with it. And I mean, I think that's where some of our most viral content in YouTube or Instagram or other mediums have just really taken it. I mean, we're an independent dealer. We're a one rooftop, I guess 4 rooftop, but one dealership. And some of the stuff we do is pretty far out there. And I mean, we do ride some stuff, current events perhaps. Like we'll have something that's relative to Valentine's Day or Christmas, or if we know that something was old but it came out at a certain time, we'll use that as a theme perhaps. But I mean, you guys really do create some cool stuff.
Yeah, I think going back to the Fletcher Jones things, Fletcher Jones Mercedes-Benz, for the viewers to know, which is in Newport, California. It's pretty hard to replicate that because I'm not taking anything away from Fletcher Jones. I think they're fantastic operators and they've been very open book with us in the times that we've toured them. And I think they have a great operation, but they are in Newport Beach. Every one of their neighbors is a millionaire. And so if you're selling a luxury product, that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
What they've done a really good job of is capitalizing on that by getting people in. And you know what? Off that Jamboree Road, off the 73, it's not easy to get in there. But they've done a really good job of like setting up the valet parking and really just, laying out the red carpet. I don't know about their social media if it's as good. And I don't think it needs to be because they are, such a good, such a great company, overall to be in such a great location. So going back to that and trying to apply that to Mercedes-Benz downtown Calgary, which is under multiple rooftops and fragmented by the fact that we're between one-ways, not runways, we have a runway, but we're between one-ways and downtown. We have to adapt our business differently. And the reason why we have such an aggressive marketing and social strategy is simply the fact that we have to let people know where we are. We have to let people know that we have a pre-owned sales location. We have a new car sales location. And yeah, they're pretty much across the street from one another and into the main thoroughway into downtown. But we need to let people know which is which. Mm-hmm. And that the newer building is for the used older cars and the older building is for the newer cars. And then we've got a service reception and then the shop in the same parking lot just down the hill. And parts as well down there too. So, I mean, we had to be creative because it's a unique situation. Therefore, we have to come up with a unique sales proposition.
Well, you and I mean, you came up with the idea, right? When you first started, we partnered together in 2014. I mean, you had been with the group for a long time. You knew where we were located. I remember I had to pick you up at a McDonald's downtown because obviously we wanted to go into work together. But you came up with an idea right out of the gate, and it was, we are an aircraft carrier. We're not easy to get to, but we're in the middle of everything. So we need to get out to them. And then fast forward 5 years and we started working with SATE and the students. And one of the ideas is when you shut your eyes and you think of Mercedes-Benz in Calgary, we want to be the first top of mind thought because again, not easy to get to. And that's really when we started developing the ideas and pushing the envelope and doing a lot of the stuff that, again, we've been doing. So again, kudos to the thought process, but it took somebody moving into a management role with our facility to realize that it's not as easy as perhaps I thought it was, because I mean, this is all I've really known for 20 years. It's just how I get to work each day. But when I picked you up and you're just like, this is insane. And we started riding that idea from that point to where we are today, 12 years later.
Yeah, it was a real eye-opener to the fact that I didn't even quite understand the logistics between the sales department and the service department. That's before we added the pre-owned sales many years later.
And parts
being, carved out of that. I didn't quite understand how complex it was. Mm-hmm. And it was me trying to understand it that inspired so much of the content that we've created where we're trying to convey that to the customer base. And I've always had a lot of ideas. I know I've blown up your guys' minds with them. And it wasn't until phones, yeah. Yeah. It wasn't until we met Vlad, about 3 years ago that really we had a vessel that really, I've always told people that, sure, I might have these great creative ideas, but Vlad is really the vehicle that can actually make them into concepts, right? So we've always appreciated that. But Vlad, should I take this opportunity to apologize to you for blowing up your mind all the time?
Oh, it's fine.
Definitely Val's.
Yeah. Honestly, but we can talk about this all day. I really appreciate all that stuff because it does challenge me and makes me better at what I do. And just seeing the results at the end of the day, it's kind of acquiring the trophy after that. But all those early morning messages and late night messages and calls. Like I really appreciate them. At the end of the day, we all get better and the results there. So yeah. No need to apologize.
I'll never forget when first it started with a conversation with me and Justin and Perry, one of the two brothers that own the operation. And I had told you that we're doing a road trip to California and I want to do it in an electric and document it for YouTube.
Yeah, we were coming back from Kananaskis. We were scouting out places for a Christmas party. Staff appreciation party. And you came up with this idea, and I was just thinking, how much is this going to cost?
Well, and was a fireball that really just spun out of control because it started from the night before having a conversation with my wife, and she says to me, what do you think of these EVs? And I said, well, what do you think about these EVs? She goes, I really like them, but they just will never work for us because they'll never work for when we do our road trips to California if you visit my parents. And I said, what are you talking about? There's a guy on YouTube, because of the idea popped in my mind, who actually just drove one to California and back. She goes, I want to see that video right now. I said, there's no video. I said, but you just gave me a great idea.
Proof of concept.
So, and that's the very next morning we were going out to Kananaskis, and that's when I pitched the idea to Justin and Perry. And, Justin was looking at the fiscal aspect of it, but they're like, that's a good idea. I wonder how much it's going to cost us. And Perry was like, all in, very generous man. He's like, let's just do this. And then I remember having the conversation with Vlad. And Vlad's like, YouTube?
Yeah. I haven't done any YouTube editing till that point, and that was our introduction into the YouTube world. Yeah. And I was stressed because I obviously wanted to deliver, but I didn't have experience to back it. But
We'll give a 15, 30-second spiel as to why YouTube's so much more complicated to work with than, say, Instagram.
Yeah, well, it's completely two different platforms, and they cater to different audiences. When it comes down to YouTube, for example, long format videos takes obviously more time to edit, particularly 11 days of traveling with a EQS and the whole family. It does take a lot of time and a lot of content there. Obviously, Mazen has never been a vlogger before that, so we need to do some coaching. And obviously, this is my thought process as I'm talking to Mazen. He's giving me the whole rundown of what's going to happen. So I was obviously scared because I wanted to deliver, but I'm grateful. Again, this is the challenges that I'm grateful for because it made me better.
Well, and you know what a learning experience that was for all of us. I remember coming over to Chris and figuring out at that point that they don't make crossbars for an EQS SUV. Yeah. That was really interesting because there's no way. Because, I mean, we all know an EQS SUV, family of 3 children, so a total family of 5 with a dog, and all that luggage to be able to carry you through. You drive it down, taking 3, 4, 5, 6 days. I think we took 6 days to drive down there.
One way, yeah.
Yeah, one way. You need a roof box.
You need a roof box.
Yeah, you're not going to get away with it any other way.
Well, and the family was there for a lot longer than the 11 days. That was just the driving aspect.
Dad, all our luggage was up there. And, so what are we going to do without a roof box? And I remember coming to Chris about it. And then I said, well, I found a parts listing through contacts at Mercedes-Benz Canada Parts for an EQE. And Chris, I got to give you credit. That you really shocked me with that because you're like, you know what? We could probably modify and adjust those bars to fit because there was only a difference of like 1.5 centimeter width.
It was easy.
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we had the roof box on. Now, what I didn't realize is how badly the roof box affects the range on an EV.
Any car it affects.
And the sound of the microphone.
Yeah, the sound of,
the reverberation.
Yeah.
And when Vlad was editing, getting to hear off camera the stuff that he edited out where my wife wanted to kill me, where we almost ran out of charge in Death Valley.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because of that roof box and 45 degrees Celsius weather, which was, I think, what does that work out to be? 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
And the headwinds you had in Washington and the fires in southern BC. I mean, you dealt with it all.
Yeah. What a eye-opener that was, though, for me from a social media scenario, because Vlad gave me a crash course on how to fly a drone, which I never knew how to do before. And that was super cool to learn it. Nerve-wracking, especially when I had to drone that EQS parked on the beach and fly out over the Pacific thinking I'm going to lose Vlad's drone. And the other thing that was shocking to me was, oh my God, the battery consumption on these different recording devices and microphones.
All you do is charge?
Oh my God. We stayed in one hotel in Washington State, and it was an old hotel that was like from the 1800s, and it had old wiring, right? And I swear I thought I was going to blow the breaker because I had every device plugged in, and I sent you guys pictures of them. And I was so scared that I was going to blow a breaker because I had so many different devices plugged in there. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work setting up that car in the morning, getting up at 4 a.m. before my family woke up and setting up that car. It was a ton of work. And I really had a new sense of appreciation for what Vlad was doing. I mean, he was on the other side editing this and having to go through all of this content, which was crazy. And I mean, how many terabytes was it?
Well, I think it was 2 terabytes.
Yeah.
Total. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I believe that if we did it today, that would be double that because of the technology, the way it's improved, and the way the files are bigger and stuff. But
I mean, that was almost a year after the successes we had in Instagram. What drove you to kind of dabble into YouTube in the first place? Because I mean, that's one of the things that people are probably wondering is, why would you go from the success stories that you had in Instagram and some of the other platforms into YouTube in the first place?
Personally, I've always been a bigger proponent of YouTube. I know that Chris and I, before this whole thing started, were really heavy duty into YouTube. I don't watch any cable. I love watching everything on YouTube. I like getting it, as I want it. I don't want to have all these different things. They don't have to be live all the time. I also find that there's a certain authenticity that comes with YouTube that you don't see in the regular mainstream media, and from different reviewers. And I feel like, different types of automotive bloggers and journalists have actually improved through YouTube. For example, Jason Camissa, he's phenomenal through YouTube. But what's most important to me about YouTube, and it's always been really important to me, is it's so deeply tied with Google. So I mean, from an SEO perspective and organic search, it's so much better for us to be investing in YouTube than Instagram. And Instagram tends to cater, generally speaking, to a little bit younger audience. And unless you're catering your content to be more specific to what you sell. But the problem what's happened where things have really derailed, I think, in a lot of the automotive content that exists today, with the exception of some really good guys that are out there, we can get to them, is they've really started to dibble and dabble too much in these trends to the point that they've lost focus that you are a car dealership selling a car, right? You're not trying to sell to Gen Z and trying to be an influencer so that you can sell swag, right?
Our sole goal is to get people in the door.
Yeah.
And this is another way of doing it. We had to replace billboards. We had to replace newspaper. We've never jumped into cable TV. You touched on that. Great point. But it was one more way for us to get people in the door, whether it be for the service drive because they didn't know we existed, whether it be obviously into one of the newer pre-owned buildings, whether it just to be to have the thought that, hey, I could actually drive a Benz down to California.
Yeah, that was what that came down to. And I think, Vlad, you had a real epiphany with YouTube. You started to see the value in it shortly after.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, talk back on the whole EV initiative in the Mercedes-Benz. Before our road trip video, there was nothing like that on the internet. Not even like the Mercedes-Benz itself did any kind of marketing to promote those vehicles. So we were kind of pissed that, there's so much value in these vehicles for certain demographics and that no one's doing anything about it. So like we knew and we recognized opportunity there just by seeing what's going on in the world. So to talk back now on your question, YouTube, you asked pretty much what did you ask?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, how did you find your transition when you watched how our growth and our evolution took place through YouTube and how, rightfully or wrongfully so, we became overly focused on YouTube and less focused on Instagram for a short period of time. What's your opinion of it now by comparison between the two platforms? Because you started with us very heavily focused on Instagram.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that whoever does anything with social media for their business, they should utilize both platforms, and they both serve each other very well and they work well together. YouTube particularly is great on SEO. You touched on that a little bit, and I think it brings huge value to the business and just like search optimization engine. But Instagram also helps drive at that pool of demographic that you build, already and the amount of followers, and it just pretty much makes a bridge to the YouTube where you can like build even more subscribers. I personally wouldn't do just YouTube without Instagram, and I would do Instagram without YouTube. I think there's huge value there. It is a lot more work, but I think that everyone should do it. Everyone should do it. I mean, Stuart, our marketing manager, spoke about SEO, and he said ever since we introduced YouTube, it completely went out of the water. So
I mean, and we learned from that also. Like we had a lot of tough discussions internally because we built this I guess organism within Instagram. We had some huge successes. We started really piloting some really interesting ideas, whether we're working with realtors, getting their homes, all kinds of different fun stuff. We saw massive growth, and then all of a sudden we went to the YouTube, and we really stopped with Instagram for a while, and we actually saw negative growth. We saw, I guess, defection from our Instagram because we weren't as relevant as we once were. We then grew YouTube in an amazing way, which was a huge success story for the store, for everything that we've done. And it wasn't until about a year, or not even a year ago, it was like 6 months ago, we sat down and we said, okay, we now recognize that Instagram does have more to it than just the instant gratification of laying in bed and watching a clip. You need to have both. And that's where me sitting on the outside in a lot of this stuff, I'm blown away with the fact that we're growing YouTube and now we're regrowing Instagram. And I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in 2026 and 2027 beyond.
yeah, I'm very excited.
Because you do need both.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to totally change the idea that we've done in Instagram. You've done an amazing job with bringing in now clips from YouTube, hoping that it's entertaining enough to then create that click into YouTube, and now you've just grown your viewership.
You can drive traffic both ways.
100%.
Yeah, YouTube to me today is the new platform to commercials on television. Because when we look through into the YouTube studio, more people watch our content on televisions than they watch it on tablets and phones in most cases.
Yeah.
Right? It's close. Like, I mean, it's slightly more on televisions, but that trend's going to continue to move in that direction because YouTube, which has now introduced YouTube TV, is replacing television. It is now the television of this era, right?
Yeah, but what's funny is that original movies that we all watched and grew up with, placed on YouTube, don't perform well as YouTube videos cater for YouTube. And I believe that that's, again, like, if you really want to do something, you got to be passionate about it and understand your viewers, right? Understand what they want to see. I think the biggest mistake we made last year is when we, as Justin mentioned, grow YouTube exponentially. We kind of used a lot of those drag races and thought that we can convert our original Instagram demographic to start liking something that our YouTube demographic likes. And we saw a huge missed opportunity there. And I think it took one meeting for us to just sit down and say, hey,
it was heated.
It was, yeah. And then we just pretty much went back to what we knew it worked, and it's working, growing, yeah.
Well, we just ended up working twice as hard because what happened is we didn't work any less on what we were doing on YouTube. We just added Instagram.
And now we have a podcast.
And now we have a podcast as well. So we're about to have a build series.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to have a build series.
Yeah.
Very excited for that.
Chris, why don't you introduce it? What are we doing?
Oh, we're going to go details? Okay. We are taking a 164 ML63.
What is a 164 ML63 for people that don't geek out with chassis codes?
Sorry, I'm nerdy. I think it's a 2010?
2009.
2009 ML63. AMG. So it has
with the 6.2.
6.2 and 156 motor in it.
Means
all-wheel
nothing to
drive.
them. 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8.
No. The people will know it there. M156. It's a legendary naturally aspirated 6.2 motor.
Probably one of the most beautiful motors to look at.
And one of the best ones to work on, just the AMG motor that everyone nerds out about. We're going to take that. And what year is the ponton?
1959.
A 1959 ponton.
Which is an A219.
A219.
Which was a taxi cab for most of Europe.
Yeah.
But it's special to us here because it never came to North America.
Never came to North America.
Well, it did. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. The one that we have is North American, but never came to North America as a taxi. Because to have a taxi in North America that's a Mercedes-Benz is pretty ritzy.
So all of you out there, it's not beige. It's not beige.
And we're going to put them together. We are going to take the chassis from the ML63 and the body from the ponton and create something very special.
And full disclosure, this is not a trend that we're trying to jump on, but full disclosure, we were inspired by two different pontons that were built this way already. One being on a C63 platform that was a 205 with the biturbo V8 4-liter. And prior to that, there was a guy during COVID that bought a 2014 C63 507 coupe and put the ponton body on it in the UK, and it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
So our version,
it's going to be very different.
Yeah, it's going to be very different, and it's definitely something that's going to add a lot of stress to you. And I'll take full responsibility for that because you wanted to go with a rear-wheel drive platform. You wanted to go with the standard setup, and I said, no, I am not going to rest until we find a ML63 because I wanted to continue to be an all-wheel drive because I wanted to roast everything in a drag race because the biggest problem with those cars is traction. And being that it's an all-wheel drive, it's going to be fantastic. And then you came up with the idea of just putting the body on it and moving it over. And we're going to be doing a lot of other things that are going to make it really cool. So it'll be exciting to document that. And the inspiration for that came from what channel?
Well, Matt Armstrong, Legit Street Cars. You know, me being a technician for so long, I can say I did lose my passion at one point. You know, that's why I wanted to get out of the shop and get into management.
Well, look how clean your fingernails are now.
Well, that's the best part, right? It's going to be a lot of gloves used on this build, a lot of gloves. But I can say recently I've had this insurgence where I'm really excited for this build series. I think it's going to be great. A lot of the staff want to be involved. I think that's going to be one of the best parts. And you know, just with what we're going to do to this car, I think it's going to blow some people's minds. Yeah. It's not just going to be like a Matt Armstrong build. It's not going to be like any of those other pontons online.
Yeah, and for the viewers, we're going to document this build series. And the main goal of this project car is to challenge a local, or if you're willing to come with your car from anywhere in the world on our drag strip, 101 half mile, and see who can take it down. That's the main goal of it.
That's going to be the Chinook's main mode of transportation going forward.
Chinook's Batmobile.
Yeah, we're going to hand that over to the Chinook. And the truth is, at the end of the day, is that the true measure is going to be, because what's our goal for that car? I mean, I'd like to hit 1,000 horsepower. You think that's overly ambitious, but supercharging it. I mean, sure. Let's say we hit 900 horsepower. Let's say we hit 900.
Now you can take that M156 motor and easily get 800 wheel horsepower with a supercharger. It's a lot of work. Where Mazen's just get up to 1,000. That's fine.
The goal is for you to survive. That's the goal.
Full roll cage.
Well, that's why we're going to have the Chinook in there.
But I mean,
and that's why we don't have
You're going to be testing it, though.
The Chinook is actually one of Elon Musk's AI bots, so we could just replace him.
But so the
Optimus.
going back on following the trends, people will think that we are just following a trend with Matt Armstrong, but we're definitely not. So we were inspired by Matt Armstrong, but we do want to make it different and use this build opportunity to show what we can do with Mercedes-Benz parts, Mercedes-Benz vehicles, and fuse two eras and make something incredible. And also, I believe that part of the drag racing and Chinook being challenging, like each one of the locals, whoever comes with the car, is my inspiration from Ken Block. They do that. They did that with the Unicorn, with a 1,000 horsepower Mustang, and they did a series called This versus That. And anyone who come with a 1,000 horsepower car and try to challenge it in a drag race, and it did pretty well. So,
but adding to it, I mean, what we're talking about is something that I believe Instagram will absolutely absorb and love for the viewers of it, because it's an instant clip. It's something where you can just show a 30-second reel of what you've done in that day or that week and fast forward through it. And it's something that you can still put in YouTube and you can have it there. And somebody will just be like, what the hell are these guys doing? What is that? And it'll draw, I guess, connectivity to YouTube. It'll draw click through. It'll help us with everything we've wanted to do. But that's where it's different from, like you said earlier, the half mile drag strip. For those that don't really understand what that's all about, they may not stay and watch it. But something like this, I truly believe people are going to jump all over.
Well, and that comes back to being a unique selling proposition, you know, the USP that we've talked about in the past. And that's what I think is really unique about our channel, is that we do half mile drag races. very few channels do half mile drag races. They mainly do quarter mile drag races. Now we do quarter mile as well on a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Because
it takes forever for them to clear the quarter mile.
Well, exactly.
Oh, half mile, sorry.
Yeah, I mean the batteries would overheat before you hit the half mile on a G-Wagon. But at the same time though too, you're gonna hit your governor on a G-Wagon well before a half mile, and it's just gonna be boring. So there's no point to it at that at that level. And also we did have a rule unspoken for a long period of time that if it was under 400 horsepower, we'd keep it a quarter mile. And if it was over 400 horsepower, we would go to a half a mile. We might have to go to a mile once we have the Chinook project build going on. The ponton.
The ponton.
If the brakes don't get upgraded, we'll make the mile.
We'll just put a parachute on the back.
But going back to talking about Instagram, talking about trends and what's going to be connecting to viewers overall. What I don't think connects to viewers is, I mean, how many people want to see 12 different dealers do the same thing? I mean, the amount of people that did the John Hamm reel just turned my stomach. Like I can't scroll past that fast enough when somebody does that. And automotive has been the worst for it. And they just keep copying each other. It's so sad.
I mean, I love him and what he does, but you're right. I mean, when you start seeing the first one who recreated it was like, it's pretty clever that you were able to do that. But you're right. I mean, you go to Instagram and it's like, and it's not even just automotive, but you're right. It's just over and over and over and over again. Eventually, it just becomes white noise, and you just scroll through it.
How about our favorite customers here? You looking at you. I mean, I once watched that when it came out, and then I saw literally 15 dealers consecutively post the same thing one day after another over a course of a week. I'm just like, do you not have any shame? I'm sorry I have to say that, but like, do you not have any shame? Do you not look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, but like all these other guys are doing it. So like, why is somebody going to care? Like, especially when it's Mercedes-Benz dealers copying other Mercedes-Benz dealers. Like that one drives me absolutely crazy. Because let's be honest, like we're doing a unique selling proposition, but there's nothing unique about the fact that you're all Mercedes-Benz dealers. I'm going to sell you a black E-Class just like any other Benz dealer that's out there. Fletcher Jones has got a black E-Class on their floor right now. We've got a black E-Class on our floor. I mean, we're all Mercedes-Benz dealers. So what makes us unique? Because our favorite customer is here. You.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Right?
So
I guess it's the customer that really needs to do their own reel.
Yeah.
Because the customer needs to say, well, thank you, because I've scrolled past your reel like so many times today, and all of you think I'm your favorite customer.
Yeah. Well, that's why I love Rafi Bush's stuff so much. I mean, he was a dealer, but he's gone more independent now, and he takes the stigma of either the buyer or the seller, and he totally takes it to the next level. And I just can't stop laughing when I watch it. I always rewatch it a second time because I can relate to it. I can relate to it as somebody in automotive, and I can relate to it as somebody who's going in to buy something. And I laugh every time I watch it. But he's not doing what's the trend now. He's doing what we know and expect in the stigma, and he's making it a trend.
Yeah.
That's why I love what he does.
Yeah, he's funny. Like he's funny. Like
he pushes it a lot. He pushes the envelope.
He does, but you know what though? You have to.
Yep.
You have to. That's really, people are becoming so desensitized these days, especially with social media. If you're not breaking molds and breaking trends per se, you're not going to get beyond that. And there's two different types of, in my opinion, there's always been two different types of ways to deliver content as somebody that's in automotive, and it's either you're going to be delivering it in the form of information, where you're going to be enlightening people, or you're going to be doing it from a satire or entertaining perspective, right? And Rafi does it in a really good job from an entertaining perspective.
Love it.
Yeah. And who's the guy that was working at Mercedes-Benz North Olmsted that left them? EMG Jared. Yeah. He did that really, really well.
He did that well.
Yeah. And they had a really Benz and bow ties. And Doug Horner did a really good job of counterbalancing that because he was delivering the information. He was the serious guy. He didn't really make you laugh. He gave you information that was valuable.
He's doing what we do every day and filming it.
Yeah.
Like he is actually showing what it's like to do what we do, but he's making it relatable to the person who's watching it.
Yeah. And
I'd be way too offensive.
Yeah. Well,
we talked about it. I would be way
I wanted, when I first saw Benz's and bow ties, I'm like, I feel like I'm sitting in Justin's office and a salesperson's walking in, and it was just that exact interaction. I loved it. It was great.
But I'm not professional to be on camera.
But you know what though? I don't think anyone is at first professional enough to be on camera. And that's what I like about YouTube for by example, is it delivers a certain sense of authenticity where you're seeing those people for who they are.
Mhm.
And if they're not entertaining, they won't succeed. Right?
Yeah.
If they're not entertaining, no one's going to keep watching them, but they don't necessarily have to be good on camera. They just have to be themselves and be something that's interesting to the viewers. Right. And George Saliba is probably one of the best
favorite.
at that. I really, really do love what he does.
He's amazing.
I think he's so good. Like he just gives it to you the way that it is.
It's real. It's real. You can tell it's real. And it's like a Hoovie or any of those guys. You can tell that's them. They're not putting on a front for the camera. That's them.
Yeah, and you can also see from their episodes what their main goal is with social media. It's pretty much to establish more trust between the potential customers. It's like a dentist office. Like you go to your dentist and you're like, who I'm gonna see at the front desk? Who's gonna actually, who's gonna be the doctor, what they're doing. But when you have that video that's showing their personalities, that's showing people coming through the doors on a daily basis, it actually definitely creates that trust and makes other people, approach him easier. So
Yeah.
I think they did a phenomenal job.
He deserves to have Michael Jordan come buy a car for him.
Yeah.
Big time.
He does that good of a job. And what's really nice about him too is he's really exposed to the market, things that we keep trying to tell people. There's a lot of stigmas around car dealers. Oh, they make hundreds of thousands of dollars. No, I mean, like he exposes, like we go through as many losses as we go through as many wins. And we have huge, big home runs that are fantastic, on some cars that we bought really, really well, or we sold for a really, really good dollar. And we have ones that we just absolutely bleed on so badly. And that's just the business.
Well, I had someone come in the other day with a Car Cost Canada thing saying, hey, would you match this? And I thought, absolutely. I'm going to increase the selling price to get them. It's like, this is awesome.
Well, and people don't realize that. It's funny how, we've been painted with this brush in automotive. And what I like about guys like George Saliba or like Doug Horner is they tend to really change the perception of what a car dealer is all about. I mean, and that's really what we've always been trying to do with our YouTube channel. I mean, it evolved from being the EV road trip, which, I mean, you asked me earlier what I saw the value in YouTube. I never saw more value in YouTube than we did the EV road trip. It was probably one of our least successful campaigns in terms of views and shares and whatnot. It had the most definitive, relatable amount of sales.
Well, because we could actually measure it. The ROI was they came in and said, is Mazen here? No. Let him know I'm here because I'm going to be asking him questions when I take delivery of my EQ. And I mean, we saw the numbers just skyrocket after that. But what Mazen may not know, because I didn't want to boost the ego at all, but I would have dealers call me, going out of their way not to call him because I didn't want to hear it from him, but they would tell me that they use that as a training tool.
Yeah.
And I had MB Canada call me and say what a great tool that was. So, I mean, kudos to you for doing it because, like Vlad said earlier, we did something that nobody else did. And most people said couldn't be done. I thought it couldn't be done financially as an independent one-off, but pulled it off. And then from there, it kept turning into something new and something different. It's a build series now. I mean, that's something that we're taking actual technicians in our shop, taking them out of the shop at times to work on this. That's huge.
Yeah. And that is purely volunteer. They're not getting paid to do that. That's a passion project.
It's going to be a passion project for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. The runway was a passion project and it continues to be a passion project for us.
This is a passion project.
Yeah. It all is. I mean, and that's what I love about the authenticity about, of bringing things to the surface, of showing people that this is what we're all about. And the EV road trip was incredibly authentic. And I remember Vlad telling me before I left, be objective. Don't try to sell anything because you're not selling anything here, right? Just be straight up. People are going to appreciate more when you tell them, this sucks. I'm running out of charge. This sucks. I'm having to wait for this to charge at such a slow rate. This is great, right? Because at the end of the day, you can't have good without the bad and you can't have bad without the good. So you have to share them both equally.
Yeah. Well, and prior to that, and a lot of people may know or may not know, prior to that, you guys did not own an EQS. You guys did not own one. And then since then, both our wives drive the exact car you took, obviously the 580, not the 450, but our wives drive that exact car. You and I have been in the sedan. Chris has been in the EQE. Vlad, obviously, you've been in the actual car that went down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it just comes down to we all had our own doubts, and that may not have been the selling point for us because this is what we do for a living. But again, it certainly helped, and it certainly was an opportunity where, well, if they could do it, we can easily do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been huge trials and tribulations since, but we've been able to build off of it and drive them for 2 years.
Yeah, I think huge element of that project was comparing it directly to the GLS 580, because you guys own that vehicle and travel to LA every year. And at the end, when you guys arrived back to Calgary and we did the cost, it was cheaper to actually travel the EQS 580 than the GLS 580. Actually, 450, sorry, than the GLS 580. So that was also a huge problem solver for people that were curious about it.
Yeah.
One of the things we should challenge people with is to give us ideas that aren't trends or fads, but that we could actually work with and turn it into something.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I love about our YouTube channel, is our YouTube channel allows us that. I mean, most of the content that we have on our YouTube channel, most of the drag races that we put together or challenges that we put together, they're fueled by the comments that we read.
Yeah.
And we're very engaging with the comments. Like we respond as quickly as we possibly can. We're all on it. I try to do most of the responses if I can. I'm not always available to end up doing it, but we're very engaging with our viewers. Because we appreciate them. We love the fact that they took the time to actually watch. We love the fact that they're taking the time to watch this right now.
We do this for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
and I mean, here's what goes full circle back to what Vlad said. What really resonated with me on the whole EV road trip, for example, is it was really important to be objective, because the fact that I didn't know anything about it. And it was probably one of the few times I've went through in automotive where I wasn't the expert on something. Everyone comes to me about being the expert on something because I'm this huge gearhead and this car nut, and I know all this history about all these different cars. And I didn't know enough about EVs. I didn't understand them that well. And I learned on that video. You watch every day, I learned something new on that video. I learned that when you charge the car to 100%, how fast that first 10% comes off because the battery's trying to cool itself, right? I mean, that was just so many things, so many variables that I learned. And what I loved about that and what really resonated with me, well, when Vlad said to me, be objective, I said, why wouldn't I be? Why would I be anything but objective? Why would I not be anything but transparent in this whole thing? Because the reality is that's what made me successful as a salesperson,
But
right?
so many competitors in what we're doing are.
Mhm.
And I mean, if you're biased towards it, you're going to lose a tremendous amount of the viewership because they're just going to say, oh, well, of course you work for the brand. This is
You
what
want to sell
do.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get those comments every single day on our drag races.
Well, it was frustrating at first, but I understand it now. I mean, you can't expect that somebody's going to go in and say, well, these guys are legit because we haven't had a chance to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
I get it. We're a Mercedes-Benz dealership and we own a drag strip and have competitor products on there that drag race are in against our vehicles. If anything, I think we're almost too critical on our own cars in order to just try to justify things. Our Beamer boy is so concerned about being criticized on the channel by Beamer fans that he's under all this pressure that he just doesn't want to do it. He'll cancel the launch. He'll hit the brakes.
Yep.
It's actually called failure.
It is a failure to launch, and it's a
Different industry, I guess.
But the reality is that you go onto a channel like CarWow with Matt Watson, which I'm going to be straight up with you guys about that. I mean, I was a fan of him for a long time. I thought he did a really good job. It's really sad to watch bias seep in, with somebody who like that individual, right? Because I mean, what I found really, really disappointing is he started out as being this big AMG and Mercedes-Benz fan. He had an A45S as a daily driver, which was, I was very envious of, even though it was yellow, probably not the color I would have picked. Then he gets a G63 and it's all the rave. Rumor has it, and this is just rumor, that he sold that G63 and had a falling out with whoever he had contacts with at Mercedes-Benz, kind of similar to what John Cena had with the Ford GT. And ever since then, everything went off the rails. You don't see newer Benzes come on the channel. You can see that Mercedes-Benz doesn't supply him with any vehicle. He rents cars from Turo. He will publish a vehicle where it has failed launches. The one with the GLC 43 most recently was really pathetic. So these are things that were pretty frustrating for me to watch him go through that and change that over. So I had a really hard time, watching that transition take place. You take a guy like Jason Kamisa, he's got total unbiased. He's fantastic with the whole thing, right? Take a guy like Chris Harris, right? He was so vocal that Ferrari banned him.
Yeah.
It took him a long time to patch that. And it's sad because they've kind of muzzled him a bit, right? It's kind of hard to watch him review a Ferrari now and not think to yourself, is he just being nice because they just let him back in the door? And, shame on Ferrari for doing that. That's no manufacturer should ever do that to any journalist.
One thing that's different with us is we don't race these cars. We bring the dealer representatives from BMW, from Porsche, from Jaguar to come and defend their brands. Like they have an opportunity to go in front of us on the runway one-on-one and see who's fastest. And this is not our Joe from the basement that we brought to race the car against our Mercedes. These are actually, if you go to the Jaguar Royal Oak or BMW Edmonton, you'll find Fred. You'll find other people that joined our production that they actually have 9-to-5 job and they work every single day. So this is where we break that trend and we create a different trend that's never been done. And I personally think that, taking notes from other people's books, it will make this channel greater and better. So,
and huge props to those competitors. You started naming them off for coming.
Yeah, 100%.
For being a part of it, because it is, they represent that brand. And for them to lose, there's pride, but they recognize that they're part of this industry, and it's big props to them.
100%. It's a reality. It's what it is. So.
Well, and we research a lot. We debated what we're going to line up between these different cars. And that is the hardest part about doing this channel, is lining up those cars. Like, it's stressful. You've had people cancel or the car not be available.
Weather.
At the last minute too.
Accidents, cars get crashed, right? Before they actually come to the drag strip.
Or they get sold.
Or they get sold is another one that happens all the time. It's really stressful to end up putting that whole thing together. But we work really hard on trying to line up these cars as closely matched as possible between all of them. I don't like it when I have a clean sweep and win all these different drag races. I hate it.
Well, because you're going to spend hours debating with people online because they're going to think that it was staged.
Yeah. And what troubles me more is that when you see the same comments every time say, oh, well, on CarWow, on CarWow, on CarWow. What I love is the comments on our channels from the people that are actually see it for what it is. And they will actually reference other channels other than CarWow and say, well, no, that's not true. This car actually did win against that BMW on this scenario. Look, it's no secret. I can see why Matt Watson went that direction, and CarWow in general, because their growth was exponential. If there's one thing I can't take away from a BMW fan, is their fandom is unbelievable. Like they are
fans, true fans.
Like they will bleed that, blue and white propeller right out of every single vein that they have. They're fantastic at it. And so I respect them for doing that, and I respect people for defending it the way that it is. And I love to see that type of passion. They are passionate. Fred said that several times on the channel. Like, they're not false. They're just passionate, right? And, I can see why CarWow went that direction, because their growth was exponential at that point. They grew to 10 million followers or subscribers in no time.
100%.
But you just can't go ahead and just continually, like, this isn't WWF. It's not wrestling. Like, you can't just continually stage these things to be the way that they're going to end up being. You can't do that. And I'm calling it out that a lot of it's staged, because it's unfair to take a 2017 E63 and put it up against a 2024, BMW product that's a newer product, and rent that car off Turo that has 183,000 miles and then make fun of it for having a failed race start.
Yeah.
Or noises.
Yeah. It's just not the right way about doing things. And what I've come to really appreciate about our channel overall and the drag races and everything that we do is that people are starting to recognize that we don't have bias. We publish it, win or lose, we publish it all the time. And we are very critical of our own brand. And I think every fan should be super critical of their own brand, because that's what makes them better. That's what makes them be what their actual best. And, I've noticed, take for example, a channel like Remove Before Race, they've started to have lesser and lesser views. And there's some people that don't like the fact that the representative has such deep relations with Mercedes-Benz and AMG and calls himself Mr. AMG. And I don't think that that's, I don't think that that's a good thing to always do. You always want to have some unbiased. And what I really like about our channel is the fact that we're telling consumers, if you come in to talk to us in the showroom, we're going to be the same way that we are on this channel. Mm-hmm. We're going to tell you that if you're looking at a BMW or an Audi or a Porsche, we're going to tell you the key strengths and attributes of that. And then we're going to share with you the key strengths and attributes of this. And for me, when I was a successful salesperson for so many different years, my line was always the same and it doesn't change. That is my philosophy. I am not going to try and sell you anything. I'm going to share with you my opinion. If you agree with me, you're likely going to buy what I'm selling because I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what it all comes down to. It's just a matter of opinions and whether or not you want to end up sharing that overall. And, we went as far as buying a drag strip because we don't want to be like remove before race and going on a public road and then blurring our speed to show people that, we're doing a test on a vehicle on a public road because we don't want to tell people out there, oh yeah, you should go out there and drag race your friends on public roads or test these cars on a public road and do that stuff. And then we're going to blur our speedometer so that you don't know that you're speeding. And I mean, honestly,
we had to fight so hard. One of our first videos we did years ago, and it was on a private road that we structured. And even then they were driving 60 kilometers an hour and people thought we were going fast and the furious speed. And we really had to debate that online. And that's when we just said, you know what, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, and look, when we did the S-Class video, you were making fun of me the whole time for driving so slow. But the truth is on public roads, I don't. I don't like speeding on public roads. I mean, every once in a while, people are going to find an open back road where they're going to have some fun with it and stuff like that. And that's fine. But, speeding on public roads and promoting that, and furthermore, for these manufacturers to supply these influencers with these cars and allow them to do that, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. They should not be giving them these cars to say, hey, show your viewers what these cars can do on a public road where you're easily going double and triple the speed limit. That's wrong. They should be on a closed circuit. They should be exercising responsibility. And yet they're supporting that. And I think viewers have started to take notice to that because you start to see some of those channels now, they're trending down as a result, right?
Yeah. I guess the message of today's podcast is pretty much if you're willing to step into what we're in, it's going to take a lot of passion. It's going to become another job for you guys as well. And the only way to succeed is pretty much you got to love it and you got to listen to what people want to watch and cater to them. And
but stick to your guns.
100%.
You don't just flip flop because it's the new trend or the new look. I mean, you have to have vision, and then you really got to debate it. Some heated conversations, but then you got to execute.
100%. You can either go look for the trends and choose your heart by looking and accumulating more trends and following them and hoping you're going to hit it, or you can choose your heart and set the new trends and work a little bit harder and try to be creative and just get it done.
I'll sum it up by saying I like to write a lot of the stuff that we do for, our Instagram and our YouTube, in particular this satire. You guys know I don't take a lot of things seriously. I like to have a laugh here and there. And, a full transparency, a lot of what we've done recently, and even when we poke fun at other brands like BMW, for example, they're actually inspired by some of the comments in our in our YouTube page, right? The gapping thing and all that stuff. I never knew that terminology until the BMW fans were actually downpipe and tune. I mean, all those things all were inspired by those people. But the reality is that you got to ask yourself this one question. If you are somebody that's not just in automotive space, but any business, and your punchlines are something that you've heard in multiple other rooms before, then do you really want to be that person online that's saying the same joke that somebody's heard at 3 other functions?
Yeah.
Because that's really what you're doing. And it's sad. It's really sad. Be original. If you fail, you'll fail forward. You'll just keep going until you find your stride. But be who you are. Be authentic. Because really, that's what sells. That's what Vlad taught me on the road trip to the EV. With the EV, it was, you got to be objective. You got to be critical.
Yeah, 100%.
We hope that you enjoyed what you saw for today. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to know what you want to see more of online. If you feel that it is correct to appeal to different trends and sometimes Gen Z, who isn't quite mature enough yet to buy a vehicle. Maybe that's forward thinking. But for a car dealer, are we doing it right? Could we be doing it better? And who's doing it the best? Make sure to comment below, subscribe, like, and share. Thank you, MBDTYYC out. This has been another episode of the Half Mile Podcast.
Yeah.
And our favorite viewer is you.